Margaret, thank you. Thanks for signing the consent form, and thanks for taking time to talk with me today. I appreciate you being a part of this project.
Absolutely.
So, what would you like to talk about?
We can talk about a real issue. I have a parent we have a little conflict. Does that fit the bill?
Mm-hmm.
A parental conflict. So my father and my mother are still married, but my mother has Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So she is in a memory care facility, and she has been in one for about 6 years. And my father has started dating other people for companionship for the past 3 years, something like that.
Okay, she's been in an Alzheimer's unit for 5 years, you
Mhm.
said, and he's been dating for about 3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're okay with the companionship aspect of it, but my father wants to bring this new woman into his life as part of the family. And it's caused a lot of conflict because we have I have siblings, I have 6 siblings, and everybody takes their own tack to it, whether they like her, whether they don't like her, but regardless, as a family unit, we are disagreed with him in the factor of having her part of Christmas, part of like a family vacation, because we don't get together very often.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand. So you have 6 siblings, and people kind of have different opinions about her, but everyone agrees that they don't want her to be a part of family celebrations like Christmas? Or
No, that's the problem.
Oh, okay. There's disagreement.
There is
that.
disagreement
I see.
on
Okay.
that.
Okay.
My father, though, is adamant that future gatherings, if they are to include him,
Mm-hmm.
will include her.
I see.
And so my niece is getting married in December, and pretty sure she wants her grandfather there.
Sure.
So the question is that she's going to have to accept having his girlfriend there if she wants him there. And this has caused her some heartache because she doesn't really want this woman there.
She doesn't. Okay.
And also, on top of that, we always get together every summer as a family
Mm-hmm.
in Colorado. And my dad has decided this year to go on a trip with his girlfriend. So it's a celebration of his 80th birthday. And he's just decided that that's what he's going to do, and the rest of us can get together on our own. And we've kind of resolved that in the sense that we're not going to be able to change his mind. But it's caused me some heartache because I can't really seem to connect with my father.
Mm-hmm.
Because I understand his need to connect, but...
To connect with her, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
But he has not sort of reciprocated any need for me to connect with him.
I see. So
Yeah. So
you feel sort of maybe like he's choosing her over you
yes.
and the rest of the family.
Yes. And you know, I think that he's almost said as much.
Okay.
Pretty much that she comes first. And it's just really been a very hard time for us stressful wise because, like I said, every one of us has a different thought. And my husband is not so pleased with the arrangement.
Really?
He would like my father to divorce my mother, who's in the memory care facility, so that this is more on a moral standard. You know, like...
Yeah, so your husband wants your dad to divorce his wife if he's going to continue dating this woman.
Yes.
But I'm curious what the other members of the family... Is he the only one that kind of feels this way, or would you say that there's...
My younger sister feels similarly. She feels that my dad is an affair, or that this is his mistress,
mm-hmm.
and that that he needs to acknowledge that as more formally. My sister's also a lawyer, my younger sister, so she is my dad's power of attorney, and my dad is my mother's power of attorney.
I see.
And my older sister is my... she takes care of my mom more regularly, going to the facility, going to see her,
mm-hmm.
and she is a sort of a point of contact medically for the facility, as well as my dad.
Okay.
So I think that part of the conflict, I'm sorry, I've probably chosen a pretty
No,
complicated
it's
one.
okay. Please go ahead.
But part of the conflict is that if my dad is going to continue this relationship and do things like go on a 3-week trip away from home, that we need to have someone to care for my mother, someone to make sure that there's someone on target, someone who's going to be called and all of that, and that we need it more formal. Financially speaking, my younger sister is more concerned about what my father is spending
I see.
with his new relationship and how that affects my mother. My father has assured us that she is very well taken care of. She's got insurance that pays for bills there, plus he contributes a certain amount, and that is all taken care of. But I'd say that there's a 30-40 split, or that doesn't make sense, 30-70 split. There are 3 of us that are really pretty much, we do not care for this arrangement. My older brother, Paul, he is very unhappy with the scenario too, and doesn't want to even visit with her. He's never met this woman.
Okay.
And my dad wants to introduce her to everyone and go on like this other trip where he goes and visits his individual family members.
With her. Okay.
So he plans a trip to here. He plans a trip to various cities where my other siblings, I have 4 siblings who live out of the state where they live. And anyway, it's been a real conflict that has caused us a lot of stress and in interactions between ourselves. I have an older brother who doesn't really think it's a problem.
Okay.
He lives with my father. He thinks that we're being unfair, and that my father would be very depressed if it weren't for this relationship. So his sense is that we are not being caring enough about this woman's feelings.
The woman's and your father's.
Correct.
I see.
So this Christmas was a big stress point for us because we got together as a family. And my oldest brother had to tell my dad, I'm happy to meet her, but I do not want her to be around the family for at least the 2 or 3 days that we're all together.
Okay. And how did your dad react to that?
He was not happy about it, but he followed that. And I'm trying to remember, did he stay at home? He went over to her place at night sometimes, but she did not come over to our house while everybody was together.
Okay. And how long has he been dating this woman in particular?
I think it's almost 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
That's what he tells us, though.
Okay.
We
Sure.
weren't as aware in the beginning about it, but then from what he has since told us, that it's been about 2 years.
Okay. So it was this past Christmas that he was there during the day.
Yeah.
She did not come.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming this caused stress between you and the other members of your family, your siblings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did was there any sort of resolution after the fact, or how would you say you left things with the rest of your family?
That's a good question. The rest of the family is still processing it, I think. There's a lot of email communications. There's some phone conversations, but most recently was my father communicating to us on email about how he was disappointed that there wasn't more acceptance of her, and that it really hasn't been resolved in any way still. We're all still I think we're all still kind of frustrated by my father's seeming lack of understanding of where we all feel that as a family unit we are concerned that we don't have any connection to this person. And his concern is that we're not trying to have a connection with her. And at least from one perspective, my oldest brother was like, I don't want to have a connection with her. There are at least 2 or 3 of the 7 of us who feel that way. They do not want to have a connection with this person because they don't need to in there. They don't have the space in their lives for her.
Right.
And my father is very disappointed by that.
Well, so you're saying that several members of your family, you and your siblings, don't really have time for a connection with her or don't want a connection with her. What is it do you think your father is looking for in terms of a connection? I mean, is he looking for you to look at her like a stepmother or just someone that you can accept having around?
I don't think he wants her to be a stepmother because I think he just wants us to recognize her and to, he wants us to admire her for the things that he does. I think that he wants us to feel like this is an important person in our family.
I see.
And that she is someone who means quite a good deal to him. And that because he is going to spend this much time with her that we all should too, I guess. And that, you know, he keeps reiterating how much he's told us about her. He likes to go on about people's sort of almost like a resume.
Yeah.
You know, this is one thing about her, this is another, let me tell you about her background. And then he feels like he is related to, you know, he feels like he has introduced her in a way that unfortunately doesn't really work in person.
So he's kind of trying to sell her.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. He has. Yeah, so.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering what, given all this, would maybe make you feel better. What do you think your goal is at this point, or what you want out of your relationship with him? Maybe realistically, what could we be working on about this?
So I'd like to learn some communication skills.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's the hardest thing I have had to deal with is communicating to my father how this hurts my family. So my relationship with him has suffered, and that I don't want to talk to him about her anymore. I'm just kind of tired of the subject, you know, like I have accepted that she's part of his life, but I just don't want to have to keep reiterating it. And so, but I think the other thing is when I call him, I know that he's with her, and so it's sort of hard to communicate to him in a way. He like wants to put me on speakerphone.
Right. Okay.
I'm like, no, I don't want to be on speakerphone with this, you know, other person listening. I need to communicate to him what he seems to be missing out on, which is my children. And that's a whole nother issue, like in my life, but about how connected I feel to my family. So I'd like to work on definitely communication, of how I can communicate my, I don't know, displeasure without being angry about it. I think I've worked on that pretty well, but when he comes back, and this is the thing that happened at Christmas, we had several communications where his adamance, he's just adamant about, oh, well, nobody accepts her, and I think it's, anyway, I can't seem to communicate to him that as much as I accept that he has this person in his life, she's never going to be more important to me than he is. She's never going to be more important to me than my mother is, and all my siblings will come before hers as well. So if it's hurting my siblings, like my younger sister is hurt by it, or my niece gets hurt by it, I feel like that's something that I need him to understand, and I can't seem to communicate that to him.
These are the most, I think, difficult situations, especially with a large family, because you've got so many people involved. But it sounds to me like you're doing well with that. I mean, I know it's upsetting to you and the other members of the family, but it sounds like you're kind of taking the right attitude toward it. dealing with her and accepting her as best you can, but
Mhm.
still sort of maintaining your